Morning, everyone. Hope you're doing good out there. Could be afternoon. All right, you can turn my videos, watch them when you need to. You can pause them when you need to. So you can stop Miss Graham for talking. You probably like that one. All right, go ahead and let's go ahead and get started. Now, how many of you have already been working on your choice boards and working with those vocabulary words? Okay, go ahead and get started on those. Before we get started, I want to go over the schedule that the school is using. So let me show that real quick. So this is the schedule. On Mondays, you'll do English from 9 to 10:30, social studies, and then you can see, but English block is Monday from 9 to 10:30 and Wednesday 9 to 10:30. If you need anything, I will be here. You can reach me at YouTube. You can reach me through the school website. You can reach me in Remind, any of the places you need. I've got the coffee ready, so I'm ready to go. So if you need any of those, just let me know, okay? All right. Trying to get things ready for the next thing that I need. All right, let me stop that one. Okay. And pull that up. I don't know if it's going to let me show that or not. Let me try it this way. Okay, this is all kind of new. Okay, I think I've got it worked out now. So let me stop this one. Oh, yep, just see me came back and forth. Y'all haven't you been watching me? Sorry. I thought I had it ready, but I didn't. All right, here we go. So I have a little PowerPoint I want to go over with you before we get started. And you're going to be working on analyzing the structure of drama. But before we get into this, I want to let you know we're going to be reading a play, parts of it, an excerpt from the Diary of Anne Frank. And if you know who Anne Frank is, you'll be okay in following this. But if you don't know who Anne Frank is, or really, I would rather you go to your let me see. I would rather you go back to your choice board right now. Let's go back to the choice board. And I want to show you something on the choice board. Okay, let me go back here first. And I have to click back and forth these things. But if you go here and if you pull up your choice board, and I should have went to here first, I'm sorry. But if you go in here and your choice board is right here, you're going to see your Wordly Wise, and I've already went over those with you, but you're going to see video. Who is Anne Frank? I want you to click on that, and I want you to watch that video. Who is Anne Frank? Now, you will have to stop this video, okay, and go into your choice board and pull that up and watch Who is Anne Frank. So go ahead and do that now. And then when you finish that, come back because I'm going to help you with these pages. iReady Reading, pages 153 to 157. Now, we're not going to do all of those pages today. I only want you to do 153 to 155 in this video, and then I'm going to come back in another video and I'll do the other pages with you. So, you know, I don't want you to sit and think you have to do all of these right now. You don't. Some of you, if you want to go ahead and work and then check your work when I have the other video, that will be great too. But go ahead and stop the video, and stop this video and go watch Who is Anne Frank. Okay, I hope you went back and watched that little video about who is Anne Frank because it will help you. But mainly what we're going to be doing today is analyzing the structure of a drama. And those are plays that we can watch and read. So the first thing is, I want you to look at this sentence, because we're going to work on a lesson about analyzing the structure of drama. A drama or play has other story elements as well as characters, it has settings, and it has a plot. The drama contains the dialogue or the character's spoken words and stage directions. All of this information will help us understand the characters speaking and their moving and description of the setting. Dramas are divided into acts that are further divided into scenes. So mainly what we're saying, if you're looking at the dialogue of the characters, the stage directions, and the words they're using, it will help you, the reader, understand the characters, where the setting is, and the whole plot of the story. And the plot, remember, is the beginning, the expedition, the rising action, the climax, the falling action, and the resolution is what we're talking about. We're talking about plot. But I want you to look at this sentence. It says, Mr. Davidson spoke out loudly at the meeting, voicing his concerns about proposed sports stadium. What I want you to think about right now is what character traits might describe Mr. Davidson. Go ahead, call out your answers. I'm waiting. Through this sentence, we're able to see that he is outspoken, he's confident, he says what is on his mind. We are doing so good. And he is very community minded. He loves his community. But now what I want you to do is, so just from that one sentence, we got a lot about Mr. Davidson. I want you to look at this dialogue now. Mr. Davidson, fervently, a stadium of this size will bring increased traffic to our neighborhood, negatively affecting our quality of life. The moderator, who is over the meeting for the day, your comments will be included in our community response, Mr. Davidson. So, first of all, go back to Mr. Davidson. What is his tone? What can you find out about his tone? Look inside the parentheses, which is holding the stage directions, fervently. That means he's angry. He's being forceful. He's kind of upset. And then look for words that show his level of concern. He's saying this is negatively going to affect the quality of their life. He's really concerned about this whole thing. So please remember, when we're doing stage directions, dialogue, all of that contributes to the setting, the plot, and the characters, and helping you analyze what's going on. So remember those things when we're working with the story of The Diary of Anne Frank. So we're going to stop from there, and now we're going to go straight back to the story itself. So go ahead and start going to Canvas. And I'm coming there too. So we're going back here, and we're going to go back into Go Home. And when you go home, go in there. Here is your paper. So open that up, page 153 to 157, Anne Frank. And you will also come back through here and submit these, and there'll be different ways you can submit them. And you're going to pull them up, and there they are. But what do I need you to do? I want you to download it, because if you download it, we can highlight it, we can write on it and do things with it. So you need to hit download and go ahead and hit download. And when it pulls up, you should have something like this. Now, where it says 7th, week 1, you might want to go ahead and back out the 7th, and go ahead and just put your name. And that way you have it saved. And go find your English folder, which I don't think I have one. Nope, I don't. Miss Graham's bad. I don't have one. So just go ahead and save it to your desktop and hit save. And that's on our desktop. Okay. So this is going to go away from you in a few minutes while I start pulling this up on my desktop, and then I'll be right back. Okay. All righty. So I'm going to stop that sharing, and then I'm going to go pick up with what we're working on. Is everybody doing okay? All right, so here we go. Now, the only thing about this is if yours has this on the side of it over here, that just gets in my way. I don't like it. I like having the whole screen. So I'm going to go up here and hit View, and I'm going to go to Tools, and no, I'm going to go to View, and I'm not going to go to Tools. I'm going to go Show Hide and go to Tools Pane and get rid of that, and it'll go away. Now, I want you to look up here. You have a little text box and you have a highlighter. So right now, click on the highlighter and let's start using our highlighter, okay? And if you're working in your workbook and you're watching this video, go ahead and turn to page 153 and let's get started. And you're going to be analyzing.
Copyright sign, Curriculum Associates, LLC. Copying is not permitted. 153L15. Analyzing the structure of drama. Part 1. Introduction. Theme. Anne Frank. Diary to drama. There are many ways to tell a story.
Okay.
For example,
So I guess I've had it on read it out loud and didn't realize they did. So you can have it read it out loud. So analyzing the structure of drama. Please remember too, I know they were talking about the copyright, but we have a right to be able to use this with you and teaching you, so everything is fine, all right? So analyzing the structure of drama, and of course, we're working on how to analyze a drama's form or structure to be able to understand its meaning. There are many ways to tell a story. For example, a story can be told in a book, in a movie, or through a play. All of these forms contain characters, setting, and a plot. But a play has some special characteristics. So let's look at those characteristics. First of all, a play or drama relies on the dialogue. And the dialogue is nothing but the character's words to move the plot forward. So I can go through here and click that off. And if I go through here, I can underline. And I go here and it will underline what the dialogue means, the character words to plot, to move the plot forward. Drama also contains stage directions. Highlight that and I can click the little highlighter. The stage directions. Well, what are the stage directions? Which describe the setting and explain what the actor should do or how they should speak or behave. We underline that one. Dramas are organized into scenes. Just like when we were talking about poems, instead of being paragraphs, they're in stanzas. Well, dramas are not in chapters, they're in what is called scenes, and each scenes are grouped into what is called acts. And right now, with the Diary of Anne Frank, so we're going to read the beginning of the Diary of Anne Frank by Frances Goodrich and Albert Hackett. The play is based on a young Jewish girl's diary, which details struggles endured by her family and friends when they had to go into hiding in an attic in Amsterdam during World War II. And you know what? We're kind of holding up in a place, but she was hiding for her life. And really, we're kind of hiding for our life and our family's life right now. So there are similarities, but there's some things that are not different. We can go out. We can If we need to, we can go get things. She couldn't. Her and her family and the other families that were there had to stay in this room, and they weren't allowed to go anywhere, and things had to be brought to them. So keep that in mind when we're reading. So Act 1, Scene 1. Can you go ahead and read that? I'll give you a few minutes to read it, okay? Go ahead. All right, for those of you who need my help, and some of you don't, but let's go ahead and look at this. It says the curtains rises on an empty stage. It's late afternoon, November 1945. The rooms are dusty. The curtains in rags, chairs and tables are overturned. The door at the foot of the small stairwell swings open. Mr. Frank comes up the steps into view. He stands looking slowly around, making a supreme effort at self-control. He is weak, ill. His eye is caught by something lying on the floor. It's a woman's white glove. He holds it in his hand, and suddenly all of his self-control is gone. He breaks down crying. We hear footsteps on the stairs. Miep Gies comes up looking for Mr. Frank. Miep is a Dutch girl of about 22. She is pregnant. Her attitude toward Mr. Frank is protective and compassionate. Miep, are you all right, Mr. Frank? Mr. Frank, quickly controlling himself. Yes, Miep, yes. All right, so the whole first part of this is called stage directions. This, when we have their names, is the dialogue and who's speaking. When you have a name and it's in parentheses, that is also stage directions. What I want you to do now is I want you to underline details in the stage direction and dialogue that tell you something about the setting and the characters, and compare what you've learned to the information, the chart. So let's look at the chart. For example, setting, November 1945. Well, let's go up here. Where does it say that? In our first sentence. So to underline it, we would go November 1945, and when the little box pops up, we can hit the T. Those that have your pencils, underline it. So go back through and underline any details in the stage direction and dialogue that tell you something about the setting and the characters. And yes, you can use the chart. So let's look at this one. This says setting. No one has lived in the rooms for a long time. Now, wait a minute. That doesn't say that up here. So this is an inference. Somebody has inferred that. So where are we getting those details that are not directly stated? Well, if we go up here, look, it says the rooms. What are the rooms? The rooms are dusty, and the curtains and rags. Chairs and tables are overturned. So based on that, we're able to make an inference and infer that nobody's lived there, because if people lived there, it wouldn't be dusty and there wouldn't be rags falling around, chairs and tables wouldn't be overturned. So we know no one's lived there for a long time. Now I also find out with our characters, Mr. Frank is ill and sad. So if we go here, the second paragraph is talking about Mr. Frank, and we know he is, it says right here, he is weak and he is ill. And I hope you're doing this with me. Come on. All right. And Miep, we find out she is young, okay, and she's pregnant, and her attitude toward Mr. Frank is, and we find out she is protective and compassionate of Mr. Frank, okay? Then we go to the plot. Finding the glove makes Mr. Frank cry. So we go up here, and all of a sudden, he caught something lying on the floor, a woman's white glove. and he breaks down and he's crying. So again, we're making another inference. You know, he's remembering something that happened in the past. So something tragic must have happened in this room, and he's remembering that, right? So when you read a play or a drama, imagine it's being performed with actors on a stage. It's really just the movie. If you are not actually watching a play, the stage directions and the dialogue help you visualize what's going on. So be sure to read them both very carefully. Now, what I need you to do is, for you don't lose anything you did, I need you to go up here and hit file and hit save again, okay? That way it saved everything that you've underlined and you won't lose any of that, all right? So let's go to our next page. Is everybody doing okay? And we are reading a drama right now, okay? It's called a drama. Now, is it fiction or not fiction? This is a diary of Anne Frank. And if we understand what diaries are, people are writing down what is happening to them in their real life. And this is not fiction. This really happened in our past. And this really did happen to Anne Frank. She was a real person. And this is her writing. The only thing is she didn't write it in a play. People have turned her diary into a play, and then they turned it into a movie that you can even find and watch the movie. But let's keep moving on. We need to remember that the stage directions, the dialoguing is what we're looking at to help us understand and be able to analyze the characters, the plot, and the setting. So let's keep moving on. We're going to read the next part of the play. We're going to go to Act 1, Scene 2. We were in Act 1, Scene 1. Now we're moving away from it and we're going to Act 1, Scene 2. So go ahead and read. I'll give you a few minutes. You're doing a great job. All right, the Diary of Anne Frank. It is early morning, July 1942. The rooms are bare, as before, but they are now clean and orderly. Mr. Van Daan, a tall, portly man in his late 40s, is in the main room, pacing up and down, nervous. His clothes and overcoat are expensive and well cut. Mrs. Van Daan sits on the couch, clutching her possessions, a hat box, bags, etc. She is a pretty woman in her early 40s. She wears a fur coat over her other clothes. Peter Van Daan is standing at the window of the room on the right, looking down the street below. He is shy, awkward boy of 16, and at his feet is a black case, a carrier for his cat. The yellow star of David is conspicuous on all of their clothes. All right, looking at this is stage directions or stage actions to let you know what is getting ready to happen. All right, so as we read it, what do these stage directions tell you about the setting and the characters? Well, you know me, I like to do what is called that think aloud. And yep, I'm going to think aloud. I'm going to think aloud how to answer this question. What do these stage directions tell you about the setting and the characters in the play? So, if I go back and look at the very first line, I see the date is July 1942. That's the setting, okay? If it took place during this time period, I also see that the stage directions describe the room. Now, when we were in the other one, it was dirty, nasty, and not clean, and things were overturned. But now the rooms are bare. That means there's nothing there. It's empty. And they're clean and orderly. So just knowing that, I know things are different, all right, than in the earlier scene. Now, what I want you to think about is, remember we talk about flashback? This is a flashback because if you remember on the first one, this was in 1945, November 1945. Now we're at July 1942. So this is how the rooms were before they lived there. Okay, so that's what we're getting at the first scene. So let's go down here and look at our chart. The setting is July 1942, and that is during when World War II took place in that time period. Well, what about the rooms? What did we find out about the rooms? They were bare, clean, and orderly. So let's go fill this in. And you're going, okay, well, how do I fill it in? Not a text box. You see this little thing right here? Click it, add a sticky note, drag it down here and put it there. Yep, it pops over here, but you can still type it in. So we're gonna know that the rooms were bare, clean, and neat, because they were. And that will go right there, all right? So now that we've described the setting, and I love using charts, y'all know that, let's go describe the characters. They've already given us Mr. Van Dan. He's tall, he's portly, and he's nervous. So if we go up here, the second paragraph talks about Mr. Van Dan. And if you look, he's a tall, portly man. It told us that. And it also told us he was what? Nervous. Now, if you notice, we're looking for our adjectives, all right? And you can find out his clothes are expensive, all right? But let's go down and look at the other characters. Mrs. Van Dan. What can we find out about her? She sits on the couch clutching her possessions. She has a hat box and she has bags. She is pretty. She has on a coat. Okay, so that's what we know about her. So let's go down here and in our lot of chart and let's fill it in. What did we say about her? She's pretty. She wears a coat. She has bags and boxes. Okay, so that's what we found about that character. Now let's go look at, and you that are having to write this down and you're now going, all right, and I know what you're saying, all right, Miss Graham, you're going too fast. I can hear you already. So I'll go back. The rooms are bare, clean, and neat. So you can get that in. I'm sorry, I got carried away. I'll hush while you write. Okay, let's move back over here. Mrs. Van Dan. She's pretty. She wears a coat and has bags and boxes. Okay, is everybody good to go now? All right, let's go back up here. And now we're going to find out about Peter Van Dan. First of all, right away, we know he's standing up by a window, but what is he? He's shy, okay, and awkward. Right? He has a carrier for his cat. So he has a cat. Okay, so let's go down here and again, take one of our little stickies. And what did we find out about Peter? First of all, we know he's shy. He's awkward. And he has a case for a cat. Now, my question is there a cat in it? Are they bringing a cat in there? All right, I want to take you back to a word in that last paragraph after you get that written down. And please remember, you can stop me at any time if I'm going too fast. Not like in class, you can't hit a stop button and stop me. I usually say, slow down. You know, I'd be thumbs up or thumbs down. But let's go back and I want you to look at this word right here. And I'm going to highlight it. The word is conspicuous. All right. And no, delete that. The word is conspicuous. And did you see how I deleted something? If I delete it, you click on it and it just has the delete button. So the word is conspicuous. If we don't know what a word means, remember we're supposed to think about all the context clues, the words that are near it that can help us figure out. So let's look. It says the yellow star of David is conspicuous on all their clothes. With that phrase, we can see that each person is wearing a star, and it's made out of paper. It's the color of yellow, and it's a star, and they pin it to everybody at that time, related Jewish or something, for they could identify them as what they did. It was a marking. Conspicuous means that it's easily to see. It wasn't in hiding. And in a few minutes when we're finished, I'll try to pull up, or you can pull up, the yellow star of David to identify Jews. I still get hurt knowing this happened in our past, but I can't change things that have happened in our past. And that's why we've talked about why you need to learn about history and why you need to be reading and learning things, because you need to know about the things that happened in our past so we don't do them again. For example, like what's happening now, we need more people to prepare, to be ready for these kinds of things. But let's keep moving on. All right. So did you notice, I know we don't have anybody to talk to, but if you got somebody there, go ahead and grab them and talk to them. Discuss any difference in the meaning you've identified from details relieved by the stage directions. Did you see anything else you thought that could be helpful? One thing I noticed, it gave their ages, so we know how old they are. Think of anything else? Go ahead and talk, or talk to me. You can talk to me through here. Yep, we're moving on to the next page, and this is the last page for this one, so you're doing really good. Let's go ahead and save. So go ahead and hit File and hit Save again so we don't lose this. You that are just working in your book, just keep working in your book. All right, continue Act 1, Scene 2. Use the closed reading and the hint to answer the questions. Now, the closed reading section focuses on the plot, details in the dialogue, and stage directions. The stage directions reveal details about the character's emotions and actions. The hint helps us with details that indicate events might be out of ordinary. So let's stop. Let's do one at a time. I don't want to do both of them. What I first want you to do is read it. And this right here is the dialogue of the play. So go ahead and read the dialogue that is happening. Says Mr. Van Dam, rising, nervous, excited. That's what he's doing. Those are his actions. Something's happened to them. I know it. Mr. Frank said they'd be here at 7 o'clock. He said. Mr. Van Dam, they have 2 miles to walk. You can't expect. Mrs. Van Dam, they've been picked up. That's what's happened. They've been taken. Stage direction again in parentheses. Mr. Van Dam indicates that he hears someone coming. Mr. Van Dam, you see? So let's look at what's happening. I want you to underline details in the dialogue and the stage route directions on this page that tell you what has happened at this point in the play. And then I want you to think about, how does the scene create a feeling of tension? The biggest question is, how does the stage direction help you know that Van Dans are anxious and worried? Well, let's look. What is Mr. Van Dan doing? All right, it says here he's what? He's nervous and he's excited. So they are worried about someone, and Mrs. Van's going, they had to walk 2 miles, okay? Not ride in a car, not do anything, but they had to walk 2 miles to get where they're at. And she's afraid when they were walking that they got taken. And that means no one's coming and they're there. But now he hears someone coming. So what's happening is at first they're anxious because somebody's supposed to meet. Have you ever been somewhere and you're supposed to wait for somebody and it's 2:00? Okay, they said they'd be here at 2. Okay, it's about 2:10. Where are they? 2:20, 2:40, 3:00. You're really worrying what's happening to them. I know as a mama, I start thinking all sorts of stupid little things, even when I'm thinking about my dad if he's not here somewhere where he's supposed to be, right? So they were anxious, so it's making tension, it's making them uncomfortable, but then they hear something, okay? So now it's coming down. So now let's go to our question, and it says circle the correct answer because we're just going to highlight the correct answer. So your hint is going, note the character's words and actions. What tells you this is not an everyday situation? So which statement best describes this plot? Remember, the plot is what is happening in the story, an event based on the dialogue and the stage direction in the scene. You have A, people, the Van Dams may be in danger. And B, Mrs. Van Dam is a nervous and excitable person. C, the Van Dams are waiting to have dinner with the friends. Or Mr. Frank called to say he would be running late. Okay, go ahead and highlight your answer. What do you think? A, B, C, or D? I can see all of you now. And I know you want a pair share. So if somebody's there that's working with you or you have somebody by you, go ahead. If you're on your own, pick one. What do you think? How many say it's B? Mrs. Van Dan is nervous and excitable. Well, let's look. This is mainly about her character. Does it really say anything about the plot? No, that's just what we know about Miss Van Dam. That's her character. So that's not the answer. All right, so you got A, C, and D. What is happening here? Is it C, the Van Dams are waiting to have dinner with their friends? Okay. In any place in here, did you see that it mentioned having dinner? Well, some of you goes, well, I just inferred they were going to. Okay. I really don't think in the little boys, what's going on here, that they're getting ready for dinner. Mr. Frank called to say he'd be running late. Well, would they be worried if Mr. Frank called and told them? So with C and D, on C and D, okay, the text does not even support these two answers. So they have nothing to do with what's going on up here. So how many of you picked A? Come on, I know you did. I know you did. So go ahead and highlight A. And that's her answer. Yes, you did a great job. Now, let's go down here. Look back at your answers you did not choose, and we talked about them. Remember, B is dealing with the character, and C and D have nothing to do with anything. So which ones do not fit the details in the scene? Which one tells about a character instead of a plot event? So, well, here we go. So we're going to have to all write it here. and I find out this does get bigger, ha ha ha. So some of you are thinking, oh, that's little. We only have to write little stuff. Come on, let's go. You ready? Please remember, I always want you using what, if all possible, to restate the questions. Race, R, restate the question, answer the question, cite from the text. If you use your own words, put it in your own words. If not, use quotation as you're copying it, and E, explain your answer. And really, we've already did it. Which ones do not fit? Details in the scene. Which one tells about a character? Okay. So I could go ahead and state that choice B does not answer the question because it describes Mrs. Van Dan's character. That answered the question, okay? It's about her. And then choices C and D are details which are not stated which are not supported, let's say that, in the text. And really, we didn't use race. We just went and described which ways we didn't use them. So go ahead and get that down. Choice B, I made a mistake. Remember, 2 fingers. Didn't work. So apostrophe T. Oh, I've already got not. Okay. Choice B does not answer the question because it describes Mrs. Van Dan's character. Then choices C and D are details which are not supported in the text, and that's how we know they're wrong. Then go down here, discuss with a partner other details that tell you about the character of Mr. and Mrs. Van Dan. What I need you to do now is I need you to go up here, File, and hit Save. Now, this is where we're stopping today for this section. I will be putting another video up for the next 2 sections. What I mean for the next section, I'm dealing with Diary of Anne Frank, Act 1, Scene 2. So if you can try to do those on your own, go, and then I'll go over them. But before we get started, I messed up on a word which was had a word and an apostrophe, but I want you to go up here and look at something. What do you call these words? There's this one. Okay, there's more, there's this one. These are called contractions. And this one stands for what? They have. And this one stands for that. Make sure. Is, right? So contractions have 2 words and they make them shorter. Do you see any other contractions? Okay. So I see a few, maybe a few more, but those are contractions to make things easier, okay? So moving right along. All right, the next thing I want to talk to you about. Let me get back out of here. Stop the share. And I want to go back into something else. I want you to remember how you remember how you before looked at the video of Anne Frank? Well, I want you to go even farther besides just watching that video of Anne Frank. I want you now, oh, it's not letting me go to the website. I want you to now to go look up Anne Frank. I want you to go to the internet if all possible. And one thing we said too, we were going to look up the yellow star of David used to identify Jews. All right, so if I go here and I go to images, this is what we were talking about. They pinned these on people back then, so they knew that they were Jews or affiliated or had something to do with the Jews. Okay, and that's what they did. All right, but really what I want you to do is I want you to look up Anne Frank virtual tour. And they have tours now that you can go online. And this one is really good. It's 31 minutes and 15 seconds, but it takes you in there like you're there and you can go there. The other one I like is this one. You can go up and click here and you can go into it. It has a 3D and you can walk through the 3D, but go in here, pull this up. When you went into this house, there was a bookcase. And when the Germans would come in and see that this was here, they thought the room was fine, but you didn't know that this bookcase opened up and there were secret rooms back there. And that's where they were hiding. So my challenge to you right now is I want you to either go up here and to go through that, or I want you to watch this one. This one's only 4 minutes, or go ahead. I've been in this one and I've been in this one. Haven't been in this one, but all looks good. Just go and learn about some more about Anne Frank. All right. You did a good job today. Thank you. And come back later for the next pages. If you want to go ahead and try the next pages on your own, go for it. And then you come back and we'll go through it and I'll go through your answers and you can see how you did. Okay, great. You're doing awesome. Keep it up. I love you guys. I miss you. Oh, man, I miss y'all. Bye.